Welcome to the Player versus Picture podcast. This morning, it's me, Kyle, and my brother, Taylor. Go.
Hi.
Boom. Today is I want to say it's a special episode. Not really. It's just special to me because this movie is, like, wild and awesome, and I've never really seen anything like it. It's called Junkhead. Came out in 2017. It's a stop motion film. It's not claymation. It's just stop motion with, I don't know what the hell he uses, but it's anyways,
like
it's called
I just want to ask.
Let me get this out of the way.
Go. You go.
It's called Junkhead. It came out in 2017. It's a stop motion dystopian sci-fi film. It's about humans living on the well, it's not about humans, but humans on the surface of the planet have created like immortality, but they created immortality, they lost fertility, so they're slowly dying over time, and they're having to plunge into like the deep core recess of the planet to find a cure for trying to find a cure for their ailment, because the people inside the planet like are thriving, but they're also like freaky and weird.
Yeah, so I had to rewatch the first 30 seconds after I finished the movie because like the plot is not super relevant as much as it's just like a setup. And the idea is like they created like a race of fleshy beings that eventually became like sentient and rebelled and like got exiled into the underground because they were more or less like these functional kind of, I don't want to call them slaves because humanity isn't viewed as like evil as much as it's, I don't know if there's much commentary on that, or if there is, I didn't pick up on it.
Well, the Japanese love I guess not Japanese. This guy is Japanese. By the way, this film was made by one person, so keep that in mind as we talk about it. It is fucking crazy.
But the idea is that there are
struggles is something that Asians like to make movies about. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, sure, that makes sense. But the premise is like this one specific scientist is accepted a position deep in what they call the underworld, which is underneath the surface, to kind of follow up on those rebelled things as like a possible way to help with the humans to start reproducing again. And like it's kind of revealed relatively early. They're like basically looking for a penis. Like that's
it's so ridiculous. So yeah, the movie, it takes place, I think the number is like 1700 years after this first rebellion of these created people. So yeah, they're not slaves at all, but it's the classic thing where they're exiled. They live beneath us in the planet. We don't know what they do, but they stay separate from us. We live up here and we're nice and happy and get to look at the sky, and they're down there in the darkness and the grunge and the grime and the metal. And that's it. They're separated. But yeah, by the way, the guy's not a scientist. In the little flashback, it's revealed that he's like a digital dancing instructor.
Yeah, he's just like a tutor at best.
Virtual. That's what I meant to say. Virtual. Yeah. So yeah, he's like basically doesn't make a lot of money doing what he does and wants to change his life. So he volunteers to go on this expedition, which, is the exact type of person they want, is someone that's desperate and expendable. It's the same thing that happens in like kind of like Alien Romulus or in Mickey almost, Mickey 17, or, it's just like these expendable people. That's what this guy is. And he's desperate, and so they're like, yep, great, you go down there and try to find this monster with a giant dong. And that's kind of the premise of the movie.
I don't know where to begin, so I'm going to let you try to lead through this because let's start at the top here. Kyle, What did you think of it overall?
5 stars. There was a moment or two in the movie where it did feel a little bit slow, but I appreciated enough around that moment to not feel comfortable rating this anything less than a 5. It is a true work of like mastery and crazy vision and artistry. The fact that one person did it, he even voiced all these characters. They do speak the like Banjo-Kazooie early video game. They don't really they don't say words. They just mumble with subtitles. But he does all the characters. Also, this guy had no prior film experience. He just decided he was going to make a stop motion film, and he built all the sets himself. He built everything himself. He did everything himself. I think he had help from a couple people for like, you know, with rigs or something, just to basically borrow people for their tools. But he did everything himself. And so while watching this and knowing that, I was just, every single frame, I was astonished how the fuck one person contains all this and does all this. Then, you move on from that aspect, the movie it's hysterical. Like, right away, within the first scene, I was like laughing out loud. I was shocked utterly shocked, actually, at the cinematography. The film work in this, I can't believe that it was done on a small scale. Like, this is the best cinematography for any stop motion film that's ever existed. I'm saying that. Like, it's truly astonishing. The motion he's able to capture, the angles, the lighting, like, I don't know. This movie just blew my fucking mind from start to finish. Every single second there was something to appreciate. It was like jaw-dropping and awe-inspiring and gorgeous, but also like horrifying and nasty. And the movie was like beautiful and like moved me to tears, not because of emotional beats, really, because the movie's not emotional. It's funny more than anything. But just the scope and the way the movie is presented, it's just like, oh my God. You know, I don't know. This movie just, it blew me away in every single aspect. And even though there were some story beats that were a little bit slow, like I said, that lasted no more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes, where I was like, okay, I can feel this specific part is dragging a little. And then the movie ramps back up and it stays there for the rest of the ride. Like, it just surprises me. It surprised me constantly. Like, I don't know. It's a 10 out of 10. I'm floored.
Wow. Okay. One hell of a thing to follow up. I don't know what I give this yet. I hearted it and gave it 4 out of 5 with a review where my review was very in depth and all it said was, huh? Because like, I don't know, like the second the credits started, I opened up Letterboxd and that was my initial reaction. Cause like, I just didn't know what happened to me. Watching this thing is so weird because I would tell you the unspoken written text narration would implies that this is going to suck the joy out of you. This seems like a horrible sounding intro, but then it, like, you're right, it is kind of like, for the state of the world, it is kind of like people aren't taking it that seriously. I think that's like, it's a horrendous post-apocalypse that no one is like that bummed to be in. Like,
yeah, that's a funny way to put it.
It's like, and like,
I guess they don't know any better either. So
yeah,
anyways,
and
go
like,
ahead.
think about the main character goes through what I would assume is very like unpleasant, scary shit, and for the most part, he's acting like, I don't know, just like everything is kind of like like just like oh my God, this is like a cartoon level of like danger, even though it's clearly not cartoon levels of danger. I was really worried that the first, I like that you called out Banjo-Kazooie because that's the very first thing I thought of like, this is some Banjo-Kazooie voice work, and I loved it. But I was like, one, I'm surprised Kyle gave this a 5 stars with this particular voice work because it's very it's very glottal, very deep in the kind of sound range, which is...
There's a couple characters that are like that, yeah.
And what I did like too was it felt like everyone had either an accent or they were speaking a slightly different language, but they all understood each other. Because like you're right that some of them like kind of spoke much more in the throat. Some were like the especially the character in the hood that is more or less I don't even quite know how to describe them, but like she spoke in a very like what sounded like Japanese almost, just like clear.
Yeah, you could straight up hear Japanese in some of the.
That's why at first I was like, is this a gibberish language or is this just like Japanese with like weird performance? When I saw the credits, I was like, oh, this just might have been in a different language I didn't recognize. But I didn't know. I just see this message from you. They're like, hey, watch this movie for tomorrow. I'm just like, okay. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to watch.
Yep.
And I didn't even try to read how you would describe it. I just wanted to know, okay, it's a sci-fi dystopian movie. Okay, I was done reading. We're just going to watch it. And wow. the one phrase or one filmmaker that came to my mind consistently when I watched this movie. Could you guess who I was thinking of?
Maybe Wes Anderson.
Miyazaki.
Okay.
Because think about how lived in and like believable of a world each of these characters live in. The way the set design, ironically, how cheap it looks makes it feel so much more realistic. That is so functional. It is just like steel on steel everywhere, and these like boring hallways. It's just like, I don't know. It felt so lived in.
To
and
clarify,
the way
do you mean cheap like in real life? It seems like he cheaply did it or
no,
made
like
it, or do you mean
like the society used the cheapest materials they could
Yes,
to just
okay.
assemble the bare minimum they needed functionally. Like it feels like a world that is like scavenging for resources, kind of.
Which
that
I will, just to interrupt you real quick, the sets are detailed beyond belief.
yes,
I was captivated by the concrete stonework on the walls. These sets are so phenomenally designed. Again, I cannot believe one guy did this.
because like even that almost like backs up my point, because what I found, because what I'm really trying to highlight by saying that blandness is that it feels like the way that when you would walk down a real, I don't know, scientific facility, the way that you describe like those individual, like this piece of the wall is unique, and like the one time John drove a tractor down to actually nick the corner, and that's why that mark is there. That type of like lived in is what every single part of the walls feel like. Like this set design is like, it's boring functional, but it feels like it's they went to a real place where this is literally what they do, and they're just filming there. That's the level of detail that I'm really trying to emphasize. But like, it's not a very exciting looking place because it is very much drab colors, but like it feels like it wasn't a set designed. It was a place they went to, and like the way the characters have so much like clear history between them, but the movie doesn't really care about like trying to tell you like, oh, they've been working together and they have this type of relationship, or you know, so and so's dating so and so. But like, there's like this weird. It feels like all these characters know each other, but that doesn't matter to the story. But it makes me. I was so locked in. I was not really sure I was gonna like this movie that much, but every like 5 minutes, like I just leaned in a little bit more and more and more until the point I was like, oh god, I need to like relax here. This is. I will say like the last 20 minutes, I was starting to be like, I don't know if they're going to be able to land this in a way that I would find satisfying. And I don't know how I feel about it in terms of like, why wouldn't I give this a 5-star rating? Is like, I think it doesn't have the, I didn't connect with thing emotionally to like, I didn't think provocatively. Like it didn't, you know, it just wasn't one of those transcendent experiences. This to me is like a pure, just like love of the game. I don't have any bad things really to say. There are a lot of cool things that I want to talk about, like specific moments of what you thought of them. And I felt like I could kind of see like a kind of clear Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure, even with the body part. And the entire second section when he's a robot that can't talk, I thought was so cool. And
So
all
good.
the sound effects and the the mushrooms, and that
Oh my
every
God.
character is so goddamn. But like,
Dude,
think about
the mushrooms was when I was like, oh my god, this movie is
And
scary.
that's-
What the fuck?
And then, and when you think about like, let's think about the Miyazaki world, like a Spirited Away. Imagine if he was kind of not aiming at like a family, but like a more dark, like what would this really look like if it was functionally real? That's the
Oh my
kind
God,
of energy. That's what I would say. Like, well, that's why I thought of him in terms of like, I thought of Spirited Away a lot. Is like, what if, you know, Spirited Away was made up by someone who's way less interested in being like, I don't know, like just want to be really gross and weird and like just, I don't know, unhinged. And that's what really, that's the magic to me. It had similar to Miyazaki's magic. Obviously, and it's a different medium, and that's partially what I think is so cool was that, like everything looked like it was. You remember Gumby?
Oh yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Gumby, but like I saw there's a scene with the hunters with their rubber suits where they like kind of bend their neck, and you can see the rubber bend in a way that I'm like, well, it's obviously not clay because clay doesn't look like that without like ripping. So I like when you said like, oh, it's not claymation. Like, yeah, totally. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, you can see all the sets. I mean, there's a lot of metal, tons of plastics, a lot of different materials. It's
probably literally rubber. I bet you that is a literal rubber suit that is on like something. I wouldn't be
Probably,
surprised.
yeah. I'm not sure what he used to create all this, but
I love and I think as weird as it is like obviously the voice work was a budget limitation thing, right? And like I think it made it better. This weird language is like and weird sound is like it helps sell the tone of like it is sad, depressing, but no one is depressed and is like everyone's just kind of like, oh, this is life, you know, this is just how it is and we're just trying to get through it. And like people are mean, but not in a like I'm going to murder you mean way. And like I don't know, it's so hard to describe the tone of this movie other than you'll laugh and be grossed out and wince and cry and it'll all make sense.
I think what's why okay, what am I trying to say? The movie wants to be funny and silly. If it weren't funny and silly, I think it would just be too heavy. If this was a really dark, serious world where people like also felt serious, this movie would be really heavy.
It'd be real tough, yeah.
Yeah, I think the creator, the guy who made it, he's probably like a funny guy, and he wants it to be fun and silly, but he also has this idea of this, you know, world under the world, and it's dystopian and sci-fi. It almost feels like well, yeah, I don't know. So it's basically silly above all else.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, you know, the movie, how it sticks the landing. It does not indeed have a really emotional punch, any kind of deep resonance with the soul, like a Miyazaki movie does, you know, where it really moves you to tears in a different way. Obviously, I said I was almost moved to tears in this movie out of just like the scale and scope and quality and immersion. But yeah, the characters don't have meaningful dialogue with each other. There's a little bit of winking and nodding at what the movie might be talking about, but the story is totally secondary to what actually happens. In fact, it's hardly even important, really. Like
it's more of just a setup to get the character to be moving around and why they're doing anything more than it isn't like talked about or the character's like internally worried about is.
It's just like Blade Runner, really, where you go, oh, that's why he's doing this. Okay, now let's watch him try to do it. And that's it. So like it helps for world building, which this movie does a ridiculously good job of. I mean, this world is so realized. It's crazy. But I don't know where I'm going with this now. Kind of stuck rambling.
All right, so I think that we're wrapping up that idea there. So there.
Oh, okay. I wanted to talk about the funniness of this movie and when it locked me in, knowing like, oh, I think this movie's going to be silly, because the way the movie looks and presents itself, you think it's going to be pretty serious. The opening shot with the guy and the robot, and he looks up to the sun and the sun is reflecting on him. By the way, also like just that shot, it looks real, and you realize, no, this is a miniature. This is a small set. Like the way this movie is filmed. Yeah. So anyways, this like dude in a robot suit, or he is just a robot, you can't really tell, plunges, you know, the movie opens with him like getting in this capsule and they're counting down, and you can even tell like in this suit the guy's kind of nervous, and there's this dude with his fingers on his he has his hands on this like launch lever, and you can see he's like wiggling his fingers in anticipation, ready to pull the trigger as soon as the countdown hits. Like that, you know, this is the opening shot again. That sort of the level of precision and specificity in just the little fingers of this stop motion guy, like, wow.
Yeah, when they were in the basically reconstructing his very first body, like kind of in like opening moment, seeing the doctors like type really fast on the computer, I was like, dude, this is so weird to see each finger like have articulation like this. I know it sounds like not very impressive, but when you watch it, you're just like, I've never seen this before. These images, I'm not used to this.
And I was also thinking because I mentioned Wes Anderson earlier, because I did think of his sort of stop motion movies that he's fairly famous for. I feel like this movie blows his out of the water. You know, Wes Anderson, has real characters with more real emotions and feelings, and he has a more, classic filmmaking where like he wants to say something and present something to you and make you feel something, and I will give him obviously kudos for that, and his movies are amazing. But I'm talking like in terms of raw entertainment and shock value and quality, I think this guy is he's like on another level. I don't know how this dude did it. And his name, we should probably say his name. His name is Takehide Hori. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. It's hard to find information on him because this is all he's done. And by the way, there's a sequel to this movie that I'm trying to find access to. It's called Junk World. This is supposed to be a trilogy. It goes Junkhead, then Junk World, and another movie will come out presumably in another 8 years.
Oh yeah, Junk World just came out this year. Wow.
Yes, it did. I didn't know that until looking up this information as well. So anyways, I want to watch that. But back to the opening shot and the opening sequence. This dude gets plunged down. You can see him going into the depths of this world, and everything's rushing by. And there's some dudes that are like, they have a radio and they're like, hey, something is falling down towards you on the lower level, like heads up. And then he says like, we don't know what it is, but maybe you should just shoot it just in case. And so they're like, okay. And you see this pod falling and they just shoot a rocket at it and blow it up. Like they don't know what it is or why they're shooting it, but they just do. It's really funny. But what really struck me as being like, okay, this movie is silly is, there is a sequence where there's this like kind of a tree monster, reminded me of the Last of Us clickers, but more. Actually, they're more, they're kind of like tree ants, right? Little people-sized tree ants. It's this tree monster thing, and there's these two guys. One has a gun, or they both have guns, and they're basically like, "Oh yeah, we got another one of those things. Like, let's shoot it." Okay, so they shoot it in the head, and then it just like gets mad and looks at them. And they're like, oh, shit, like, that didn't take it down. Should I get out the rocket? Yep, pull that thing out. Pulls out a rocket, and this thing just kind of slowly lumbers towards them. Like, it's mad, but it can't move very fast because it's kind of like a tree, and it's slowly lumbering towards them. And the line the guy says is, he's like, oh, wow, this is a wild one. And I was like, okay, this is funny. Because this thing is barely moving. It's like a zombie, essentially. And, whoa, we got a wild one here. I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And it kept that level of silliness for the whole movie. Like, most of the lines can be laughed at in one way or another. Obviously not all of them, but like, it's just a very silly, heightened movie. And it's, oh my God. As soon as that happened, I was locked in. And then it's followed up with this beautiful sequence of them killing this tree thing, and then the tree thing slowly transforms into an actual tree, and they're like, yeah, we gotta burn this down, okay. And then they light it on fire to burn it, and it's like this kind of subtle world building, and you're getting really immersed, and you're like, what the fuck is this thing? Why are they burning it? Like,
so this is actually the very first time I remember when they shot the tree, then it grew into a big tree, and then they burned it to the ground. That like, I was like, this feels like Miyazaki, and like this world has so many weird creatures that have their hyper specific rules that like everyone is just like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, and like you, the audience, are just like, what am I watching? Like, and then getting to figure out like what that thing is and was, and I don't really understand why that they did what they did to it. That's my only like real like thing is like, I was under the impression like, oh, these guys are really bad. Like, why would they do this to this creature that looked relatively innocent? And we find out that those things, it's just, I don't know. The only story parts I get, I don't understand. So like, I don't know. That's why, like I said, I have a hard time giving it that perfect. But in the opposite of a lot of things where like, I don't understand, it makes me mad. I don't understand and I want to know more. And I'm fascinated and captivated. So like that's why it's like in a lot of ways I don't get it, but I'm not mad. That's really the only difference between a good movie and a bad movie. So you confuse me on purpose, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of explained. My only thought is that like maybe these guys in the beginning they don't know what this tree does, so they burn it just in case.
Yeah, because they have to. Because otherwise, like it just seems weird that they would have done that unless I missed something. Obvious.
Or they don't even want to take the chance at what they know what it does, but they don't want to take the chance because, everything it produces can turn into a monster. So they're like, let's just get rid of it. and
Anyway,
not
I don't
have
want
to deal with a bunch more monsters.
I don't want to focus too long on it because the movie doesn't also take too long to focus in on it. It's just like a cool little thing, and what this is also a weird connection. It reminds me a little bit of The Walking Dead in that it's about not necessarily like the main character trying to like, I don't know, establish a home and build up. It's more about just seeing them wander through, and you just follow them, and people come, then they leave, and maybe they'll come back, and the guy's lost, and they'll return. He gets knocked down. Like, it's just like this journey type of story. The Walking Dead is just something I've been aware of recently that kind of has a very similar kind of motive. And like, there's something that I think is really interesting is one of the first things the character says. I guess it's funny, the movie's called Junkhead, and I thought they were going to name him Junkhead, and they like kind of build this anticipation of, I think I'm going to call you.
That part was so funny.
And it wasn't Junkhead. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah.
He's thinking for such a long time, too. He's like, He's like tapping on his forehead because he can't think of something. That part happens a little later. But
what did the name, just so I can reference himself, the character, what's the name of, what did they end up calling him in that?
Well, they call him Junkers, but then they also call him God. They think he's God. So.
Okay, the God stuff is honestly the funniest bits. I didn't think I would. They managed to make that funnier than I thought they would. Those three hunters are by far my favorite characters.
Oh my God, yeah,
they're so good.
It's Alexander, Julian, and
it's another weird name because Julian was the. I'm gonna look it up because the video I had a comment over like those two were the real. But anyway,
I can't even like the wiki has no cast, like you can't find the names of the characters. But anyways, yeah, the three hunters, which is cool. Turns out they're the Hell Ogres, which was used earlier in the movie, as a point to try to like deceive someone and scare them. I don't know how much we want to spoil because none of my friends have seen it. Francis,
okay, let's not spoil too much then, because I think I love this movie. And I would want everyone to see it, but I want to talk about things that I would say happened that aren't the like spoilery bits.
I
like
want people to watch this and be surprised in the same way that I was.
I don't know what more. Normally, when we talk about these movies, we're able to like we run through the plot. So maybe this one will actually be short on a movie we like. So what I love about this is that every group of characters that this creature, this Junkers comes across, feels like a different race, but it feels like they're all human, but a little bit different. Like the people who work the furnace down there, the men and female are much different. Then there was the grifter, that guy who like kind of tricked him. That guy looked different. The two marksmen, those guys look different. The human being that Junkers looks different. Like it just seems like everyone is like some. Go ahead.
The one thing I noticed is that the characters that you don't like there are two characters in the movie and they both have the same design, and it is the mushroom grifter guy and the little boot-licking, ass-kissing assistant of the old man in the boiler room. They have they're like cheeks puff out and they have these big pursed lips.
You're right.
Yeah, they're the same character, and they're both the same model anyways, and they're both, like, intolerable pieces of shit. So, it makes me think maybe that race of people is, like, a little more scummy than the others, or however it works, I don't know, but it was just a nice little, like, connection that I noticed.
What I do like to, sorry, it's just gonna be me telling you things I like, and then you reacting and agreeing with me. I'll try to think of these things chronologically. What I thought was really cool is like one of the very first lines that the main character says, like how weird it is in his body and like how like uncomfortable he is by it. And I just liked how, I'm trying to think of the right word, but like everybody was just like really sweet and like just wanted, like was just like being patient. It felt, I don't know, it like kind of like set the expectations that like maybe you should be able to trust these people. It's just like, I don't know, there's something about, in a lot of these post-apocalypses, it's not the monsters that are the danger. It's the people. Yeah. And so to see like the introduction, which is like the mad scientist and his cronies all be different versions of like, no, dude, we this is awesome. Or we are you okay? Like, hey, it's a lot to take in. Just take a sec.
Yeah, they're the three hunters are tasked with protecting this guy. So it happens obviously right away. This volunteer is plunged into the depths of the earth. He gets blown up by a rocket. He actually blows up, and they recover his head on some level deep below where this mad scientist little group is. By the way, like, this movie, it's almost like a road trip movie. You know, he keeps going deeper and moving around, and so none of these characters are permanent. They don't stick around long. So the first group of people he encounters is this group of scientists. It's a crazy mad scientist. He has this little, like, brain thing on wheels.
A brain dog?
A little brain dog thing. And, like, he's so goofy, and there's, like...
just to pause, actually. So that brain dog thing, I think that is like, there's that race of beasts that he's gone down to kind of find one with a penis to, like, help reproduce. What I think that is, like, is another variant of that species, because they have no eyes. It's just like a flesh. Like,
they all are variants of the same thing. That's the whole.
Okay,
and that's why the people look so different. The monsters and the people themselves, they are all spawns of this genetic creation that the humans have created.
Yeah, now that makes sense. All right.
Yeah, so, like, some just happen to genetically mutate into the creepy monster with metal spine legs. The other ones mutate into dudes with huge fists. The other ones mutate into the spider on the ceiling. Like, and some mutate into the people.
Well,
and it's been so long that there's just a whole race of people down there.
What I like about that is you think about when you think of not a new animal, but a new species. So, like, think of primates as they exist now, excluding even the human connection bit of, like, when you say primate, there's like 100 different versions. There's the orangutan, the chimpanzee, etc., baboon. That's basically what you're describing this as, is like whatever that tree is, there's just like we didn't see any of these, but there could be a flying one, the one that's like a little like a dog, one that's like a cat, and like that kind of idea that they just all are functionally come back to the same species, but as an animal and what they need to do to survive and how they hunt and all the, their aggression levels are all so different. Yeah, it's just cool. I don't know if it matters as much as I just think that's cool as hell.
Yeah. Back to these mad scientists and sort of reinforcing your point of, like, people down here being generally helpful, except for when they rebuild him in a body and he can't talk and he's just, like, made of haphazard garbage and his name is Junkers. But these first people, they find the head of the original dude who was sent down, and when they open the face mask, you can see there's, like, flesh in there and eyes, but the eyes are kind of milky and white, and his skin is really pasty, and they basically say, like, this is the human ego. This is how they have achieved basically immortality, is they are essentially just brains in bodies that can be transferred and changed however they want.
I guess the implications, like, blowing up his body didn't matter. His head was fine, and, like, he's still alive. Is like, because they never even talk to it other than just saying, like, oh yeah, it's a human, he's alive. Like, there wasn't, like, this big explanation as to how he's still alive, other than the movie just saying humans figured it out. Yeah,
and here's his head. So all right, let's put him in a body. So then they transfer him into a body, and I can't remember now that I'm saying it, even though I watched this movie fucking 2 days ago. I can't remember when the whole idea of him being God is introduced.
The idea as soon as they figured out it was a human, humans are gods.
Oh, humans are gods. Yes.
Because they live literally in the sky. They live what is more or less heaven to them, to these underground creatures, because the surface is heaven as far as they're concerned. So him coming from there is established, like, line one, the hunters, those guys think that he's God.
Yeah, that's right. So all of the people underneath, I think they're called Marigans, Marigan, but they're never referred to as that again, but they're called Marigans.
And it's obviously never spoken because no one talks in English.
So the Marigans look at humans on the surface as gods because they're all immortal and they live and they can see, they live in the sky. Then it's revealed later, they're like, you fell from heaven, like, what is it like up there? And he's like, no, it's not heaven up there. We just live on top of the world. We live on the surface of the planet. And then we even believe there's another heaven above us. And it's like, maybe there's commentary of, it's all about perspective. Maybe what we even perceive as heaven, if it exists, or if we get there, then there will be another, like, no, this isn't actually heaven. There's another. So,
or heaven is always just about the next stage up, and that, like, it's, always out of reach, but it's always like, there's a lot of things you can interpret. And what I think is really great about this movie is there isn't a lot of dialogue. And when it is, it's generally pretty snappy and pretty quick. And they do have, like, what I'd say is, like, throwaway good lines where, like, if you sat and thought about it too much, it might be a little eye-rolly. But if just, like, on a quick little thing, it's nice metaphor, nice little thematic stuff. They don't linger on enough to feel heavy.
Yeah, and honestly, there is quite a bit of dialogue, actually. There's a lot of talking.
I guess, but more so, it's not a lot of, like, drama dialogue. You know what I mean? It's more just... I don't know.
Regardless, let's trying to get back to these mad scientists. Anyways, this is how the movie starts, is they find this head, then they put it in a new body, and this starts a fairly, again, humorous train of the main character, like, basically dying and getting resurrected again, which is, like, maybe this is a allegory to Jesus. And they literally say at one point, it's so funny, they bring him back and they say, he is risen, because he comes back to life again. So, like, it's very, very funny in that way. But this main character ends up with, like, 4 different bodies. I guess that's kind of a spoiler, but, like, you learn pretty quick that he keeps getting into these perilous situations where he gets fucked up and destroyed, and someone else finds his head and puts him in a new body. So he has 3 or 4 different transformations throughout the film, and it's really fun. But each sort of transformation represents a different level that he's going to, right? Like, he first falls and then gets resurrected in his body that's sort of used as the poster child for this movie. The like little white, black, cute guy.
It almost looks like a baby. I you know what I mean? Like a baby doll face, kind of. But
yeah, it's odd, but... So, like, that's his first resurrection. Then he falls down to it. He ends up getting in a situation, falls down to the next level. Then that's when he's resurrected as Junkers, where this old man who runs, like, this, I don't know what it is. It's just some factory floor, but they have these pipes that they have to, like, cool down and maintain.
See,
and then
I want to talk about that when we get there, because I have some thoughts about what your literal, like, what is it? What's the purpose of that room? That I think I have some thoughts about that.
Damn, because that's, like, almost a spoiler, and I don't want to necessarily talk about it.
Maybe. Okay, that's fine. Let's continue. We'll figure it out.
It's really, I don't know, whatever. And I've been told by everybody that they don't care about spoilers anyway, but this movie is surprising in a specific way that I don't want to deprive other people of.
I would say that maybe we should have a hard cutoff moment of trying to talk around it, and then the I don't know, that could be an alternative. But it's always good to, in real time on the podcast, decide what we're going to do.
I agree.
So
it's raw and real.
So what I think, shit, I had something and I forgot. Very good. I do think what I like about specifically there is a lot of interesting metaphors now that I'm sitting here talking about the movie. I'm seeing a lot more of what this movie is, like, I guess, trying to say and do, or at least pose questions of about, because you think about it, is when he's reborn that second time as Clankers, he doesn't have a voice.
Junkers.
He doesn't have a voice and has to learn to communicate, and, like, I don't know, and, like, seeing when he can't talk, like, I don't know. It just, what is that? Does that change his perspective about the world? And one of the very first things that Junker says in his very first body is that, like, one, I forget, we didn't mention this, but, like, the human being says they basically have amnesia. They don't really remember everything. They're a little, like, uncertain. So that's where, like, why they explain some of the rules of the world, because, like, it doesn't have a lot of memory. Especially after, I think Junkers is born. Fuck.
Yeah, as Junkers, he has no memory at all, and he can't talk. So he's resurrected purely as, like, a janitor bot. He's just meant to do their bidding, and the guy who built him is like, yeah, he understands, words. He'll just help us out. Give him a command, and he'll do it. But I think they don't really realize that he's a person.
Yes, I need this out of my brain also to escape, is that he looks at his hands and like is kind of weird. It's like, I don't know how I feel about this new body, or I'm not used to this body. It doesn't feel like mine. And I think when you think about how that movie ends, the big climactic moment, like think about what happens there, and the fact that like he gets another body that's even worse than the one he had before. And like, I don't know, maybe there's like this journey of this person of like, I don't know, maybe you aren't your body. Like those things are just, external pieces that like he starts to see them as robotic parts, because that's really what it like. That doesn't make you. It's your action, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. There's some of that stuff, but that line kind of feels important. That one of the very first comments he makes about this new existence is like feeling uncomfortable or not liking this new body. I don't know. That's more of just like an interesting thought, and like put a pin in it as we talk about the movie. But I feel like it's got to be a central topic they are exploring a little bit of this kind of body dysmorphia, not having control over your own body. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, the classic kind of robot thing of like, what makes you you? Are you defined by your conscience or your body? And in this case, they make it clear early, right, that people are just now reduced to their ego. It is their minds. They're just their brain in a vessel. That's all they are. So yeah, I don't know what my thoughts are on it really either.
Okay, well, we'll put a pin in it, but I've got to damn, I had something and then I forgot it too. This movie, it's so hard to focus on one thing because it's also interesting. But what I do remember what I was going to say is that, what do you think of Clankers as a character? I don't know why I keep wanting to say. It's probably from my years of playing Ratchet and Clank that my default is, and also because I love the idea of the, like, I don't know if you've heard this, like the AI, the racist stereotype of calling it an AI, you call it a clanker. Like that's the
nice. I like that.
so like anytime you try to be derogatory towards a computer, you call it a clanker. So that's, I think, why I'm default to that.
Okay.
But Junker as a character
from Junkhead. Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's easy. Should be easy to remember. But what do you think of him as a protagonist, as a character to follow? Like what I think is kind of funny is he's a very humble guy. Like he feels like an everyday man. Like they really try to like write a character that feels like, I don't know, just a guy who's like, I don't know, I'm just trying to do my thing. I'm just here trying to survive.
Dare I say he's a Gordon Freeman type character? Has Hidetake played Half-Life 2? Or Takahide, sorry. Don't no disrespect, Takahide. I'm not a native Japanese speaker. He literally can't talk, and he's just given commands, and he's just like doing his bidding, but you root for him nonetheless. That's another thing to think about is, why am I even rooting for this guy? I guess it's because you're rooting for him initially when he becomes his first iteration, where he's like running around as his little porcelain baby doll thing, and he's running away from all these different monsters, and he gets lost, and but once he becomes Junkers, he can't speak, and he seems a little lost, right? Like he seems kind of confused about everything, and they task him with going to get mushrooms is what they're called, and they need 20, and they need them fresh. And so they're like, Junkers, just go get these. We'll give you what do they call it? Not a slip for it, but
he gets 2 pieces of paper. One that's basically what I assume is, hi, my name is Junkers, and this is what I'm doing. And another one was the slip you're supposed to give to the guy for the mushrooms that he would exchange and get that, so he wouldn't have to give him.
It's one is a map. It's literally just a map of where he needs to go and where he's coming from. And then the other one is, God, it's not a permission slip. What the fuck is it fucking called? I'm losing it.
I know. It's the idea. It's a piece of paper that instead of having to pay for something, like that's the idea, right? Like you give him this, and it like says like, hey, I need.
Right, it's a slip that's like, this is an official
form. I don't know.
It's almost like a currency, right? You give them this, and then they're whatever they're supposed to give you.
Kyle, let's not worry about the word. We're not.
Dude, it's pissing me off so much that I can't think of it.
Just fart it out of you.
So, anyways, as Junkers, he's given this task of going to get these mushrooms, and of course it goes wrong, and he encounters some certain characters. Dude, the lift, the hyper speed lift. Oh my god, it's not hyper speed, but it's like crazy fast.
What I loved about it is how, to give a sense of scale, once again, is like how fast that lift moves. It goes so fast that literally they show it where he's starting to lift off of the ground, and like one that's just like comedic, like that's like, Jesus Christ, that's fast, is like kind of a funny thing, but it's also
speaking of Jesus Christ, maybe even a little bit of that too, like floating up.
Sure. And then like the scale of this world, like that's how far down he is going for these.
This thing could be falling at hundreds of miles an hour. You can't really tell, but they use this gigantic engine powered lift to go up and down, and this is where he encounters the mushroom grifter, who's like clearly trying to get these mushrooms, and people like them a lot. You can tell. So
I hate that. Okay, when we skip past what is, I think, so the movie up until this is going to sound like a tangent, but I want to set up the dark and the violent angle of it, because we've only talked about this in like a kind of a silly, funny way, but this movie is horrendously disgusting and gross, and like kind of like it's hard to watch if you are really squeaming. Like there's certain like visual designs that I think if you don't vibe with, they're going to be really hard to stomach. Like this was tough for me because with things without eyes freak the fuck out of me, and this movie is exclusively, basically, think of giant worms as faces. Like that is the enemy, the antagonistic design, and like I didn't realize this movie was going to be violent until it was, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is not just like silly fun. This is gross and kind of scary too. Because at one point let's back up to where he's got his porcelain doll and he's hanging out with the hunters, and they're supposed to be escorting him, and like they get separated because he's literally just like in awe of his own hand, and the hunters went down a corner and he didn't, and they just get lost trying to find each other. And then the guys freak out because they scream down the hallways, "We lost God," which was also very funny. Funny, like,
God is dead and we killed him. It's so funny.
But like they teach him that there are these like red, oh god, I hate it. These red vines on the floor that are like, there are these worms that live in these holes in the wall that when they get out there, they just bite whatever's out there and pull it in.
If you touch, so yeah, there are holes in the walls, and these red vines come creeping out, and if you touch those vines, it triggers the worm in the hole to like shoot its head out and bite whatever touches it, right? It's like kind of a very basic, but realistic, like predator type mechanism, you know, like a spider's web, right? You touch this part of it and it knows to go there and get the...
It's a trapdoor spider. It's like a perfect example. Yeah, that's exactly how it functions. And the first time there's like let's say like an encounter with it is with the main character, and like it's not violent because like it, like you find out how serious these things are. They pop off his arms and legs, but it's not like gory or violent, and he ends up being fine. He's more like traumatized by how gross it was than he is like... In fact, after that, he goes kind of crazy. I don't really understand why that ends up happening, but it's irrelevant.
Well, he's about to... He touches the thing, a worm eats him, but then because he's not organic and it can't actually live out it spits him out, and then he like flies down the hall and hits his head on a wall, and that like brings back some of his memories of why he's down there, and then he gets spooked, and he's like, oh yeah, that's what... and he's scared because he doesn't know who these like hunter guys are, and these goofy, like, they're kind of fat in these black suits with gas masks on, and he like ends up running away because he gets freaked out and overwhelmed and scared, and he doesn't quite know what's going on, and so he runs away. Then eventually he encounters the worms again while being chased by different spooky, creepy monster thing. And that's when the worms pull him apart and throw him away, and then this is where the movie gets like gross and violent. The other worms pull apart the monster that's chasing him.
That's
and
what it was.
Yeah, they like bite it and rip it apart piece by piece. Tons of blood comes out, and it gets real gross. But yeah, it's this hallway full of like 50 holes in the wall where all these worms come out, and they just rip apart anything that comes through the hall.
Yeah, and I know, thank you for like painting that full picture, because now I can actually remember that sequence. That's how it was. And I saw this movie more recently than you. I saw it last night. That to me was like, oh, you know, you think of this character, he's immortal, so like these things that are happening to him are kind of whatever, but like when you see it with like organic material, you're like, this is, oh my god, that was really scary. And like Also, what really actually scared me the most up to that point was we sped past it, but there's a what I would say is like it's probably like almost like the size of a gorilla, a big thing, but it's like on all fours and it has giant humanoid fists, like giant and very aggressive. They show a scene earlier of it like being aggressive. You know they're violent and they chase after our main character, and he drops down a very narrow ladder chute and he's like, ha ha ha, you guys can't fit here. And there's two of them, they just start punching the ground violently over and over and over until they punch through concrete floor to get after it. And like that level of intense prey hunting is so like unsettling to me. It like is really scary of like how singularly focused they are to like, I don't know if it's necessarily to eat. He didn't do anything to particularly like make them mad. They're just, I don't know. It's just really scary. Natural beasts.
And then there's something else. So there's two things. The worms tearing something apart. You mentioned earlier the level of violence. The reason why it's shocking is because you don't really see any violence until this point. And even when he gets eaten by a worm, the worm spits him out. And so there isn't really that much sense of danger in this world yet. Then when he finally gets ripped apart by these worms, and then the thing chasing him gets like brutalized and eaten, you go like, oh yeah, okay, this world is dangerous. Things are gonna die. Like this is crazy. So that is what was of particular note, because the movie kind of lulls you into this sense of like, you are scared, you know, he's being chased by monsters, but he's never really hurt.
It feels like a PG-13 safe, like, kid adventure versus like, oh, wait.
It's light and fun. No. And then this brings you back down to earth where you're like, oh, yeah, these are predators and they do need to eat and survive and they will rip apart anything.
Characters do die in this movie. So, like, it's
so, a joke. That was one thing I wanted to note. The other was, the movie also lulls you into a false sense of security with Toro, which turns out to be the name of the beast with the giant dong that they're trying to get like DNA on to figure out. So how it works is, you know, early on in the movie, the three hunters, there are these like they're short and kind of tubby. They're really round in the midsection.
Remind me of penguins. They look like penguins walking
penguins.
Around.
Perfect. Yeah, they look like penguins. They are these hunters that are supposed to be like badasses that can kill these monsters, but they look so goofy and they act so silly, and they're just, you know, they call each other morons and idiots and whack each other in the head, very like Three Stooges-esque. But they're supposed to be these badass hunters. They're tasked with escorting junkers, and they encounter one of these giant creepy monsters, and the scene is tense for a second. And then they're like, oh, hey, Toro. And Toro starts like licking their face. And they're like, I'm sorry, Toro. We don't have food for you today. We can't help you. And he's like, ugh, and like lumbers off. So even as the audience, you're thinking like, oh, you know, these beasts aren't all bad. Okay. So then when Junkers does encounter these gorilla beasts with the big fists, at this point, he's by himself because he's run away. He encounters them. He also doesn't know if these things are going to be hostile or not because he saw Toro lick the face and be like a friendly dog. So he's even sitting there like, and he actually tries to pet them because he watched the hunters pet Toro. And then they like scream in his face and he realizes, oh fuck, I'm in danger, and then runs. So the movie does a good job of kind of confusing you and lulling you into a sense of security before it sort of spikes.
The other thing that I thought was kind of weird, and I this is kind of a spoiler for the end of Act 1, of like, at the end when the worms spit him out, his head and his arm are still at the edge of the abyss, and then a Toro comes up, licks its face, and then like flicks its the stuff off the ledge. And I didn't know if that was more of a mindless, like a cat kind of just like, oh, swiping things that's there, or if it was more of a like kind of like, you know,
no,
weird
it was for sure. No, it was for sure just a playful. Because his first instinct is he like licks it, realizes it's not food, it's not a person, and he's like, boop, just knock that. Like, get this toy
that
out
makes
here.
more
knock
sense.
It off the edge. No, it's not malicious at all.
And what I hated about this fucking first part is when they literally have something censored in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's so funny.
When Toro, when you think he's, you know, the guy has found that's the thing he's been looking for, and then he sees that face. He's like, oh, it's another one of those animals, and then it looks like it just pukes up literal shit. It just starts puking up poop, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And eventually, it's revealed that's Toro's tail, and
it's not Toro. It's one of the monsters.
Oh, it's the monster's tail. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Sorry.
So yeah, because this movie takes place, a lot of the first act takes place in these kind of concrete underground hallways. There's a lot of, it's labyrinthian. It's supposed to be confusing and disorienting. And so he's looking down this hallway, and you just see the head of this thing around popping its head around the corner, and it looks like Toro. And he's looking at it, and suddenly, it starts puking up feces, just a poop, but it's blurred, which is also funny. It's like, even this movie doesn't want to show this, and it's blurred. So you're thinking like, what the like you just said, what the fuck are you watching? Then as he, Junkers gets closer, he's like, what, like, do these, like, what? Junkers is curious, so he walks up to it, and as he rounds the corner and sees this is actually the ass of one of these monsters, so its butt looks like its face, but it looks like the nice version, and then its actual face is like it's got teeth and looks more evil.
That might have been an intentional way to lure, like, maybe not the pooping part, but like as an evolutionary thing, there's lots of things that have like the, oh, look, I'm a nice thing, but that's what I used to lure in prey to kill you. So
and the inverse too, right? Like butterflies, they look like, they'll look like their wings
big
will
scary
look like
monster.
an owl or a spider or something to scare away predators.
And what I really like about this movie, the more I talk about it, is it feels like, imagine those movies where like they're on an alien planet. That's basically what this is. This is like a forest of an alien planet that's being explored, and like this is just the wildlife and like understanding of like, hey, what does this animal do? How do they hunt? And like that's kind of and like now that I like put it in those like terms, like a lot of these things kind of make sense. And oh man, God, this movie's so cool. If you are a person that is like, the reason I love Blizzard games isn't because is like a lot of the lore is good, not the stories, but like how the world functions and like the laws and like the that stuff. If you like that kind of world building where lore and like there's just like weird, the world just got a very interesting, unique history. This stuff like tickles all that stuff in your brain so good. I love it.
Yeah, like despite how bizarre and fantastical and surreal and weird all this stuff is, it is still grounded in reality. As we've been talking about and explaining, like there are very functional, logical things, like the way these giant monsters behave like predators in a way that predators we as humans are familiar with behave. So despite the disconnect, it is also grounded, and that's what makes this film and this world so engrossing, is that it's like, it's familiar in a lot of instinctive, intrinsic ways, but it's also very foreign in a lot of in ways that pull you in and make you curious. So it just blends that sort of fantasy and reality super well. It's just so goddamn good, man. Like, I don't want to spoil anything else, and we've rambled on here for about an hour, and I think we've covered most things we want to cover. I know you want to talk about that one. So let's do this. This is a hard cut for a spoiler, because we're going to end the podcast like, well, I say 5 minutes, but it'll probably be another fucking 20 minutes while we talk about it. But maybe not. There's just a cool connection here. There are some spoilery things, and we've already spoiled enough, and I highly, highly recommend everybody watch this movie. Seriously. Like, it's just phenomenal. And so this is a hard... Oh, sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
No, I was just going to try to echo your statement, even for me, of like, even though I don't know if I would give it a 5, like it would be the most, like, I don't really have a lot of complaints. Everyone should see it who's even mildly interested in it. And the less you know, it's just such a joy to have it that unfold in front of you. So yeah. Yes.
And it's a movie that we haven't seen it twice, but it's a movie that's so fun and entertaining that I absolutely will be adding this to like my rotation of, like, when I want a fun, cozy, weird, cool movie, I'm going to throw this on. Like,
I'm going to show this to Brienne at some point soon too, cuz
I watched this. I was hoping she watched it with you. But because Lauren half watched it with me. She was playing Silk Song on the Steam Deck, and she was kind of half paying attention and laughing. You know, she would look up and just watch a few minutes of it, and like something would happen that would make her laugh. So even being totally disconnected from what's happening overall, the movie, like, it packs jokes like punches, where they just hit you, and it's funny no matter what the context is or what you're aware of. And Lauren says she actually wishes she fully paid attention to it because it's that type of movie. So it's going to be a movie I rewatch, and it might get better or have more meaning as I rewatch it, more clarity. I don't know yet, but I'm going to rewatch this for sure.
Me too.
So here's the hard spoiler cut. Please go watch it and don't listen to this unless you really, unless you've already seen it. Maybe Jake is listening. I don't know. But, for like Ian and Ryan, just go watch the movie.
Please.
Okay. Continuing now with the spoilers. We're going to talk about the part where the giant like tube vent thing that they're having to manage the heat of turns out is connected really, really, really deep down below to a person that's managing this. And this part is so wild and cool to think about. This society has developed in a way where people just have functions. They do things that they're supposed to do, but they don't know why. And they're connected also to a spot that they also don't know. So the people up top, they know they have to cool down this pipe because it'll like overheat and explode, but they don't know why it overheats, and they don't know why they're even having to cool it down, but they just have to do this. Like, there's that kind of implication. And it turns out that down below, there's this old man who's like managing this lever that goes up and down, and he's falling asleep. And so he keeps like lowering the lever, which reduces the heat and then like makes this thing start to pressurize and start to combust. Then they show up top, this is what's causing this like pipe way up there to start overheating. And it was just like, oh my God, when this was revealed. It was so great.
You know what was also kind of funny about that is like, and then Junkers makes him a chair, which I think was very cute.
Yes.
But they kind of presented or like framed it like he was going to do something evil or like hit him or something. I don't know why they do that. There's like weird like connotation.
Well, the reason it's filmed like that is because it's from the perspective of the old man.
Oh, that's true.
He's realizing out of the corner of his eye, this guy's coming back. He's holding something. Oh my God, what is he about to do? But we know, as people watching, that Junkers is a good guy, so he's probably just bringing him a chair, which I knew he was doing right away. But it's supposed to be from the perspective of the old man. That's why it's tense.
So the one thing I don't actually know what happened is, okay, so he falls asleep and then like the pipe blows up, right? Or there's an explosion. See, and like that's what I'm trying to remember is like when he falls asleep, doesn't nothing happen?
Well, he like pulls the lever because he says that specifically. He's like, I don't know what happens if this fire goes out, but I have to keep it up. And he's been standing there for 400 years. So despite humans up top being immortal, these people age for a long time too. Because he's 400 years old.
Yeah, because he's not saying this job has been performed. He said, I have been doing this job.
Yes, for 400 years. So it also adds some more world building where it's like, oh fuck, these people, I guess they're not immortal, but they sure do live a long time.
Life and
really
like, but
cool
at the same time, is like in theory, like, are we sure they have the same years as we do? Like, for all
I would say yes, but
I know I'm just being,
and it's clear he's old too, so maybe
they're
they're kind of like dwarves. They live a few hundred years or something, so he's clearly getting old and tired. So presumably, maybe they live 500, 600 years. I don't know.
But from what I remember is like it turns off and then like nothing bad happens directly. Oh,
that's
because
right.
Of that.
Yeah, it's just like a big burp or something.
Yeah, and like what my big interesting thought is like it's a lot about people continuing to do stuff because they were told it needs to be done instead of questioning what is its purpose. And I think that's a lot about purpose and like why are we doing what we're doing instead of just like doing it to just survive. I don't know. There's something that I found that, and I forgot what the connection I made earlier in the podcast, but like the idea was that people are maintaining this job, but they don't know what it is, and it turns out it's just to keep busy. It was not helpful. There was no value in this service. So
it's funny you mentioned it's almost I feel like it's a maybe even a vague connection to the guy who made this, where like at the age of 40 something, he was like, I'm going to make a stop motion movie. And he just did it. So like, instead of continuing the monotony of his life, he was like, wait, what if I just try this crazy thing? And then he pulled it off. So maybe there's a vague connection there of, like,
and now you can focus on what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of liked, and like I found that to be very interesting, and I don't know how I feel about necessarily this big giant monster at the end, and then I think it sets up a moment for one freaking poor Julian and
Francis. Do Julian and Francis perish?
Yeah, let me read the name, because Alexander is the one that lives. I love every time they said Alexander.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Francis and Julian getting squished after they go to Hulk mode, which is so fucking stupid.
God, dude, the stim, this fucking the and stim like the action was actually so
pretty cool. Like it was like a nice working ticket, and I was like, I'm surprised Kyle gave this a 5 out of 5 with how silly this is, but it was silly and serious at the same time. But I didn't know how I felt about like this big monster, whatever. I'm kind of whatever on it, but the fact that the Junker ends up like severing his own body so he can make that like kind of kill shot on the beast is like the literally last like 30 seconds of the movie.
Yeah.
Is this kind of like, think about at the beginning where he was like uncomfortable at this idea of his body, but now he's seeing as an like he was willing to just cut that to like save, because he was safe up there. He was only doing that to save other people, and we literally didn't even touch on the like gift, the Tree of Life friend that he ends up making. I just thought that was a sweet little thing that
the little girl.
It's a little, the little like heavy-handed, like, oh, racism is bad, because like you think about the monster that is like kind of hovering around her. How many times?
It's like her brother, basically.
Yeah, okay. That's I never thought about the relationship. I was like, what is the brother? Makes sense, but like I thought for sure that was gonna go bad at some point. And just he was truly just like there to protect, and it's just a little prejudice, like showing people treating her poorly in other parts of the complex and stuff like that.
It's as you've mentioned before, it seems like every person is almost of a different species, but they all like kind of work together and get along anyway. Some are meaner to others, but for the most part, yeah, it's a representation of humanity that like stop being so fucking mean to each other. But
yeah,
the fire going out thing though, that was interesting that it was sort of a reveal that this was connected to, was it an actual giant beast? Being like, I don't know what the thing was. It looked like a head with like its mouth, and I don't know what it was.
I just saw it as a giant, like showing the scope of the like how big of a operation it was. I didn't actually see a face in that, so that was actually news to me. So I need to like relook at that.
Well, it isn't a face, I don't think, but it's like it looks like the bald head of something, and it's got a body and kind of shoulders almost. It looks like it's a slumbering titan or something. I thought.
I need to relook at that then. Like maybe the implication is that they were living inside of a big, like humans built a big thing, but no, I didn't. I didn't see that.
Maybe it's not literally that, but it certainly looks like it. But there's a lot of transitional shot. Well, first of all, just like how deep the whole place is, like gives you an idea, lets you know the scale of this. But there's shots where they're like walking across this bridge and it almost seems like you can see outer space, like it goes deep and far and there's tons of bridges, and some of it felt, heavenly and angelic where there was light and the bridges were really pristine and concrete, and like, I don't know, man, the imagery in this movie is really, really surprising.
I know we touched on it briefly, but it's kind of crazy that this was stop motion. How active this camera is crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying Yeah, like I'm looking at the YouTube video right now. It looks like it's a head. I guess it doesn't have shoulders. It just kind of looks like it. But anyways, not important.
Okay, well, there's nothing else I wanted to really touch on, especially in that spoiler zone. I just want to say mushrooms. I didn't realize until they got to them that they were saying mash and not mush. I kept expecting something way more normal, and then it wasn't, and I was like,
and whatever the fuck they even are, I don't know what a mushroom is, but man, it's
just a flesh. Like they just cut it off these torsos that are alive. Like, good God, I hated this planet.
Yeah, no, it's fucked up. It's repulsive. This movie also reminded me a ton of The Forever Winter, which is a game nobody knows exists, but it's a super dystopian PvE extraction shooter where it's inspired a lot by like the Terminator flashback or flash forward sequences where you aren't the main character, you're not that guy, you're like just a rat trying to scavenge, and it's an endless AI war, and if you encounter too many enemies, you can get fucked up and die, and like it's hard. But the aesthetic of this movie reminded me of that game, and I wonder if that game has seen this movie because there was a lot of similar things.
Interesting.
The Forever Winter is similar to this movie in terms of its aesthetic of like really amazing, incredible scale, and I should show you just like some screenshots or something because you would appreciate it.
I've seen the store page. Yeah, I think I'll relook at that store page because I know whenever you review a game on Steam, I always take a look at it because if you're going to review it, it must be worth it.
Well, it's usually just bothering me. Like, do you want to review this game? Every time I close it, I'm like, fucking yes, I'll say it's fine just so I can get rid of it. But that one I did give a real review. I do remember that.
Yeah, I was shocked because like I had never heard you talk to me about it directly. So I remember taking a look at it and it being different than I thought. But now seeing this, I'm going to take a look at it again and see.
Yeah, I just knew you wouldn't be interested too much. But
God, no.
Anyways, Junkhead. As we've said 100 times now, go watch it. It's really incredible and just such an amazing, amazing movie. It's just so entertaining.
Okay. Well, until next time, everybody.
See you later.
Bye-bye.